Manhattan, New York. Sophia Reed was having the worst day of her professional life when she received the phone call that would change everything. "Miss Reed?" The voice was crisp, professional, with a hint of Boston sophistication. "This is Margaret Sterling, personal assistant to Mr. Alexander Sterling. I'm calling to confirm your attendance at tonight's charity gala." Sophia paused mid-stride on the busy sidewalk of Fifth Avenue, nearly dropping the stack of rejection letters she was carrying along with her third cup of coffee that day. "I'm sorry. I think there's been some mistake." "Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad I reached you. Mr. Sterling is quite eager to meet you. Your table is reserved for 8 o'clock, and as we discussed, you'll be seated as his special companion for the evening. The media will be there, so—" "Wait, media!" Sophia nearly shouted, causing a businessman in an expensive suit to give her a wide berth. "I think you've called the wrong person. I'm Sophia Reed, freelance journalist, currently unemployed, and I have no idea who you think I am." "Perfect. That matches exactly." Sophia Reed, 28, Columbia journalism graduate, speaks 3 languages fluently. The information is all correct. Sophia stopped walking completely. How did this woman know these details about her? "Mr. Sterling will compensate you $50,000 for tonight's appearance," Margaret continued casually, as if discussing the weather. "Half deposited now, half after the event. Oh, and we've sent an appropriate dress to your apartment. It should arrive within the hour." $50,000. Sophia looked at her phone's banking app. $247.83, 2 months behind on rent. Empty refrigerator. Student loan payments past due. What exactly would I have to do? Simply be his date for the evening. Smile, be charming. I'm sure that will come naturally. Mr. Sterling needs a convincing girlfriend for a few hours. Business reasons, you understand. Sophia didn't understand, but $50,000 spoke louder than her confusion. "And if I agree, that means you'll receive $25,000 immediately. I can transfer it while we speak." Sophia's phone buzzed. Banking notification. Deposit received, $25,000. She stared at the screen, blinked several times, looked again. The number was still there. "So," Margaret said smoothly, "shall we say 8 o'clock? 4 hours later, Sophia stood in front of her bathroom mirror wearing a dress that cost more than her monthly rent. It was midnight blue, elegant but not ostentatious, and fit her curves as if it had been custom-made. Which, she suspected, it probably had been. The doorbell rang. Sophia opened it to find a uniformed driver. "Miss Reed, I'm here to escort you to the plaza." The car, a sleek black Mercedes, felt like stepping into another world. Sophia settled into the leather seats, trying not to look too impressed, and checked her phone again. $25,000, real money, in her actual account. When they arrived at the Plaza Hotel, Sophia understood why they needed a fake girlfriend. The ballroom was filled with at least 300 elegantly dressed people, half of them clearly New York elite, the other half apparently international dignitaries. Camera flashes popped constantly throughout the room. "There!" Margaret appeared beside her as if materialized from thin air. She was a woman in her 40s, impeccably dressed, who surveyed Sophia with professional approval. "You look perfect." "I still don't know anything about him. What if I can't pull this off?" "You'll be fine." Margaret's smile was confident. "You've been dating Alexander for 2 months. You met at a book launch in Soho. You're passionate about investigative journalism and social justice. He knows you speak Spanish and French, so feel free to impress. Oh, and call each other darling or sweetheart, but don't overdo it." "Wait, I haven't even seen what he looks like. What if I don't recognize—" "You will." Margaret nodded toward the center of the room. "Trust me." Sophia followed her gaze and immediately understood what Margaret meant. Alexander Sterling was tall, easily 6'2", with dark hair that looked like he'd run his fingers through it, broad shoulders that filled out his tuxedo perfectly, and an easy smile that seemed genuine even in this obviously artificial environment. But it was his eyes that caught her attention, deep green, intelligent, and when they met hers across the crowded room, There was something there that made her forget to breathe for a moment. "Go." Margaret gave her a gentle push. "He's waiting." Sophia made her way through the crowd, her heart hammering. When she was just a few feet away, Alexander turned fully toward her, and that smile became even more devastating. "Sophia." His voice was deep, warm, with just a hint of a California accent that somehow made her name sound like music. "You look absolutely stunning." For a second, she forgot this was all fake. The way he said it, the way his eyes lit up when he saw her, it felt completely real. "Thank you, darling." The endearment came out more naturally than she'd expected. Alexander offered his arm, and when she took it, he leaned down to murmur in her ear, "Thank you for doing this. I know it must seem completely insane." "A little," she whispered back, smiling for the cameras that had already turned their attention to them. "But the money helps with the insanity." He laughed, a genuine laugh that sent a flutter through her stomach. "Good to know you're here purely for mercenary reasons. Makes things less complicated." Somehow, Sophia wasn't sure that was true. The evening was surreal. Alexander was the perfect escort, attentive, funny, including her in every conversation. When a tech entrepreneur from Silicon Valley started speaking in rapid-fire industry jargon, Alexander said casually, "Sophia's got a better grasp of the tech world than I do. She wrote an exposé on data privacy that got picked up by the Times." That was actually true. It had been one of her last published pieces before the freelance work dried up. But the look of genuine pride on Alexander's face when he said it made her chest tighten unexpectedly. "Impressive," the entrepreneur said, and suddenly, Sophia found herself in an animated discussion about corporate accountability, while Alexander watched with what looked like real admiration. "You didn't tell me you were brilliant," he said quietly when the tech guy moved on. "You didn't ask," Sophia replied, taking a sip of champagne that probably cost more than her weekly grocery budget. "What else didn't Margaret tell you about me?" "Apparently everything important." Alexander studied her with curiosity. "Like the fact that you're going to be impossible to forget." The words hung between them, charged with something that definitely wasn't in their arrangement. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of conversations, photographs, and a growing awareness that Alexander Sterling wasn't what she'd expected from a billionaire who needed to hire a fake girlfriend. He was sharp, had a wicked sense of humor, and treated everyone from the waitstaff to fellow billionaires with the same easy respect. More troubling, he seemed genuinely interested in what she had to say, not just polite fake boyfriend interest, but real engagement with her thoughts on journalism, politics, social issues. When it came time to leave, Sophia realized she didn't want the night to end. "Thank you," Alexander said as they reached the hotel's entrance. "You were perfect. Better than perfect." "It was actually fun." Sophia hesitated. "Alexander, can I ask you something? Why did you need a fake girlfriend?" He looked at her for a long moment, and something shifted in his expression. "My family thinks I should be married by now, especially my grandmother, who controls the majority stake in our company." He ran a hand through his hair, messing it up in a way that shouldn't have been attractive but absolutely was. "Tonight was crucial for some international partnerships, and she made it clear that if I showed up alone again, there would be consequences. So you hired a girlfriend. Margaret hired one. I didn't even know your name until this afternoon." He paused. "Actually, how did Margaret get your information? She was pretty vague when I asked." A strange feeling crept up Sophia's spine. "I don't know. I assumed you knew." They looked at each other, and Sophia had the uncomfortable sensation that there was something important they were both missing. "The car will take you home," Alexander said finally. "And Sophia, if you'd like, maybe we could have dinner again. No cameras, no contract, just because." Sophia's heart skipped. "I'd like that." His smile was the same one that had made her forget this was an act. "Then it's a date." When Sophia got home an hour later, she checked her phone and saw that the remaining payment had been transferred. $50,000, enough to solve all her immediate problems and then some. But as she got ready for bed, Sophia realized she wasn't thinking about the money. She was thinking about deep green eyes and the way Alexander had said her name. She was thinking about his genuine laugh and how he'd treated everyone at the gala with such natural respect. She was thinking about how, for a few hours, pretending to be Alexander Sterling's girlfriend had felt like the most natural thing in the world. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Had an amazing time tonight. Coffee tomorrow? Alexander. Sophia smiled at her phone. Maybe Margaret Sterling had made the perfect mistake. But as she drifted off to sleep, a nagging thought lingered. How exactly had Margaret gotten her personal information so easily? And why had she chosen Sophia specifically out of all the women in New York City? 3 days later, Manhattan Sophia was still floating on cloud 9, when her best friend Maya burst into her apartment without knocking, carrying 2 iced coffees and wearing her signature, "I need all the details" expression. "Okay, spill everything, and I mean everything." Maya dropped onto the couch that Sophia could now actually afford to replace. "You disappear for a night, come back with designer clothes and this mysterious glow, pay 3 months of rent in cash, and think I won't notice." Sophia tried to look innocent. "I got a freelance assignment. A freelance assignment that pays $50,000 for 1 night. What did you write? The secret formula for eternal youth?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "And don't think I didn't see you Googling Alexander Sterling for 2 hours yesterday." Busted. Sophia sighed and told Maya everything. The mysterious phone call, the confusion about her identity, the fake girlfriend setup, and most importantly, how Alexander had asked her out for real. "Wait, hold up." Maya held up a hand. "You're telling me that some random assistant called you by mistake, you went along with being a fake girlfriend, and now you're actually falling for the guy?" "I'm not falling for him," Sophia protested weakly. "We just connected. Connected while you were literally being paid to fake a connection." "But it didn't feel fake," Sophia insisted. "Maya, you should have seen how he treated everyone, the way he talked about his work, his values. He's not what I expected from a billionaire playboy." Maya studied her friend's face. "Soph, honey, you realize this sounds like the beginning of every Hallmark movie ever made, right? And those don't always translate well to real life." Before Sophia could respond, her phone buzzed. Text from Alexander. "Looking forward to coffee today. I made us a reservation at that little place in Brooklyn Heights you mentioned loving." Sophia frowned. "I never mentioned any place in Brooklyn Heights." "What?" Maya leaned over to read the message. "He says I mentioned some coffee shop in Brooklyn Heights, but we never talked about specific places." A strange look crossed Maya's face. "Soph, what exactly did this Margaret woman tell you about why they chose you?" "She said they had my information. Name, age, education, languages. She seemed to know everything about me." "And you didn't find that weird?" "I was broke and desperate. $50,000 doesn't make you ask too many questions." Maya was quiet for a moment, then grabbed Sophia's laptop. "What's Alexander's full name again?" "Alexander Sterling. Why?" "Alexander James Sterling," Maya read from a Forbes article. "CEO of Sterling Industries, one of America's largest tech consulting firms. Harvard MBA, speaks 4 languages, never married." She paused. "Soph, look at this." She turned the laptop around. There was a photo of Alexander at a business conference, and standing beside him, looking very professional, was a woman Sophia recognized. "That's Margaret. But look at the caption." Sophia read aloud. "Alexander Sterling with his business partner and sister, Margaret Sterling." "Sister," Maya repeated. "His sister set this up." A cold realization crept up Sophia's spine. But why would his own sister? Maya was already typing. "Let me search for Sophia Reed, Manhattan journalist. Oh my gosh. What? Soph, there are tons of Sophia Reeds in New York. But look at this." She clicked on a LinkedIn profile. "Sophia Reed, 28, journalist, Columbia graduate, speaks 3 languages." It was a different woman. Similar age, similar background, but definitely not Sophia. She lives in Brooklyn Heights, Maya continued reading, near that coffee shop Alexander mentioned. And look at her photo. The woman in the photo was stunning. Tall, blonde, polished. Everything Sophia felt she wasn't. This is who they meant to hire, Sophia said slowly. This is Alexander's actual type. It gets stranger, Maya said, scrolling through more search results. This Sophia Reed was recently featured in Vanity Fair's Rising Stars Under 30 list. She runs her own media company and... Maya's voice trailed off. What? She's dating someone. A tech entrepreneur from Silicon Valley. Maya looked up at Sophia. I don't think this was just a random mistake. Sophia's phone rang. Alexander's name flashed on the screen. Answer it, Maya whispered. But be careful. Hi, Alexander. Sophia, I'm sorry, but I need to cancel coffee. His voice sounded strange, tense. Something unexpected came up. Is everything okay? Yes, maybe we can reschedule. There was something in his tone that made Sophia's stomach drop. Alexander, did something happen? A pause. Can I ask you something, and please be honest? Of course. Did you know who I was before Margaret called you? The question hit like a punch. What do you mean? I mean, did you know about my company, my family before that night? Alexander, I'd never heard of you before Margaret called, I swear. Another pause. Okay, I'll call you later. He hung up, leaving Sophia staring at her phone. That didn't sound good, Maya observed. No, it didn't. Sophia sank onto the couch. Maya, what if this whole thing was orchestrated? What if someone wanted me to meet Alexander specifically? But who? And why? Before Sophia could answer, there was a knock at the door. She opened it to find a courier with an envelope addressed to her. Inside was a single photograph and a note written in elegant handwriting. The photograph showed Alexander and Sophia at the charity gala, laughing together. They looked genuinely happy, like a real couple. The note read, "Some mistakes are meant to happen. Don't let pride ruin what could be beautiful. A friend who believes in destiny." Okay, this is officially creepy, Maya said, reading over Sophia's shoulder. Sophia's phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from the number Margaret had used. Don't answer it, Maya warned. But Sophia was tired of being confused and manipulated. She answered, Margaret? Actually, this is Alexander. His voice was tight. I borrowed Margaret's phone because I had some questions for her. Questions about how she found you. And? She's not answering them very well. But I did find something interesting in her office. What? A file with your name on it. Your real file, not the other Sophia Reed. Photos of you, your address, your work history, even your favorite coffee shop. Alexander paused. Someone has been watching you, Sophia, for weeks. The apartment suddenly felt very cold. Alexander, I had nothing to do with this, I swear. I believe you. But someone wanted us to meet and they went to considerable lengths to make it happen. His voice softened slightly. The question is why. Sophia looked at the photograph again, the two of them laughing, looking so natural together. Maybe, she said slowly, we should find out together. What do you mean? I mean, whoever did this clearly wants us together. Maybe instead of fighting it, we figure out who and why. That's either very brave or very foolish. Probably both, but Alexander, what we had that night, the connection, was that real for you? A long pause. Yes, it was real. Then maybe that's what matters. Sophia, you realize someone has been manipulating both of us. This could be dangerous. Or it could be the best mistake that ever happened to us. Another pause. Are you always this optimistic about potentially dangerous situations? Only when they involve handsome billionaires and mysterious sisters. Alexander laughed, that same genuine laugh from the charity gala. All right, but we do this carefully. And together. Together, Sophia agreed. After hanging up, Maya shook her head. You know this is crazy, right? Completely crazy, Sophia agreed, but she was smiling. But Maya, what if whoever did this actually did us a favor? What if they saw something we couldn't see ourselves? Or what if they're complete psychopaths trying to manipulate you both for some unknown reason? Well, Sophia said, looking at the photograph of her and Alexander again, I guess we're about to find out. Her phone buzzed with a text from Alexander. Dinner tonight? We have some detective work to do. And Sophia, thank you for trusting me. As Sophia typed back her acceptance, she couldn't shake the feeling that whoever had orchestrated their meeting was still watching. But for the first time since this whole thing started, she wasn't afraid. She was curious. And maybe, just maybe, she was falling in love with a man who was supposed to be a stranger. The only problem was figuring out who wanted them together so badly, and what they stood to gain from it. That evening, Alexander's penthouse, Upper East Side. Alexander's penthouse overlooked Central Park, and under normal circumstances, Sophia would have been speechless at the view. But tonight, she was more focused on the wall of family photos Alexander had been showing her, trying to piece together the puzzle of Margaret's motives. There, Alexander pointed to a photo of himself with an elegant older woman. That's my grandmother, Eleanor Sterling, the family matriarch I mentioned. She's been pressuring me about marriage since I turned 30. She looks formidable, Sophia observed, studying the silver-haired woman who radiated authority even in a casual family photo. She is. Built the tech side of our business from scratch after my grandfather focused on traditional investments. Alexander moved to another photo. And this is Margaret with our parents. They died in a car accident when I was 22 and she was 18. Sophia's heart clenched. Alexander, I'm so sorry. It's been 10 years, but it made Margaret and me incredibly close. We only had each other and grandmother Eleanor. His expression darkened slightly, which is why what she did feels like such a betrayal. Sophia was studying the photos when something caught her eye. Alexander, who's that? She pointed to a young woman in several of the photos, always standing close to Alexander but somehow seeming separate from the family group. Alexander's jaw tightened. That's Victoria Ashford, my ex-fiancée. Ex-fiancée? Sophia turned to face him. You didn't mention being engaged. It ended 18 months ago. Mutual decision. But his tone suggested it had been anything but mutual. Our families had been friends since childhood. Very traditional arrangement, very convenient for business. What happened? Alexander walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the city lights. I realized I didn't want to marry someone just because it made sense on paper. I wanted to marry someone I actually loved. The word love hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. And Victoria? Wasn't pleased. Neither was her family, or mine for that matter. Alexander turned back to Sophia. Breaking that engagement damaged some important business relationships. Cost us a major merger with the Ashford Group. Sophia felt a chill of understanding. Alexander, what if Margaret's matchmaking isn't just about your grandmother wanting you married? What if it's about your family wanting you married to someone who won't disrupt business? You mean someone they can control? Or someone they think would be better for the company than your independent streak? Alexander's phone buzzed. Margaret's name appeared on the screen. Answer it, Sophia said, but put it on speaker. Margaret, Alexander said, his voice carefully neutral. Alex, thank goodness I've been trying to reach you. Margaret's voice was cheerful, but there was an undertone of tension. How did coffee go with Sophia? Alexander looked at Sophia. We rescheduled. Margaret, I need answers. About what? About how exactly you found Sophia. Her real contact information, not some professional network nonsense. A pause. Alex, sweetheart, why all the questions? Isn't it enough that it worked out perfectly? You two looked absolutely magical together at the gala. Margaret. Alexander's voice was sharper now. I found the surveillance file in your office. The one with Sophia's photos and personal information going back weeks. Silence on the other end. Margaret? All right, fine. Margaret's voice changed, becoming more serious. Do you remember Cafe Gramercy? You go there every Tuesday morning for your standing meeting with the patent attorneys? Alexander frowned. Yes. 4 weeks ago, you helped a young woman who dropped her laptop bag in the rain. You gave her your umbrella and helped her save her work. Sophia's breath caught. She remembered that morning perfectly. She'd been rushing to meet a potential client, clumsy and stressed, when a kind stranger had literally saved her laptop and her assignment. That was you, Alexander said, staring at Sophia. You were so kind to me, Sophia whispered. I never forgot it. Neither did Margaret, apparently, Alexander said, still looking at Sophia but speaking to the phone. You were watching. I was having a business lunch at the table by the window, Margaret admitted. And Alex, the way you looked at her. I'd never seen you look at anyone like that. Not even Victoria. So you decided to manipulate us both. I decided to give fate a helping hand. Margaret's composure was cracking. Alex, you've been miserable since you broke up with Victoria. And this girl, Sophia, she practically glowed when you helped her. I could see it from across the cafe. So you had her investigated. I had her researched. There's a difference. Not to me. Alex, listen. No. You listen. Alexander's voice was ice cold now. You violated both our privacy. You manipulated us into a fake relationship. And you did it all without our consent. I did it because I love you. Margaret's professional mask finally slipped completely. Alex, our family has been pushing you to reconcile with Victoria for months. Grandmother Eleanor, the board of directors, even the Ashfords are still hoping you'll come to your senses. Sophia felt the blood drain from her face. This was bigger than just family pressure. They don't care if you're happy, Margaret continued, her voice thick with emotion. They care about stock prices and merger opportunities. Victoria's family still controls 15% of Sterling Industries stock, and they're threatening to sell to our competitors if you don't... If I don't what? Alexander's voice was deadly quiet. If you don't give the relationship another chance. And you thought hiring Sophia would solve this? How exactly? I thought if you met someone real, someone who could love you for you and not your portfolio, you'd finally have the strength to stand up to them all. Sophia found her voice. Margaret, what makes you think I'm the right person for that? Because you didn't know who he was when you met him in the cafe, but you still smiled at him like he'd made your whole day. Because when he helped you, you looked at him like he was a hero, not a bank account. And because, Margaret's voice softened, I've watched my brother be lonely for 18 months, afraid to trust anyone new because he thinks they're all after his money. But with you, even in fake circumstances, he was himself again. Alexander was staring at Sophia, and she could see him processing everything. There's something else you both need to know, Margaret said quietly. What now? Alexander asked, though he sounded resigned rather than angry. Grandmother Eleanor wants to meet Sophia tomorrow. Alexander went very still. What? She saw the photos from the charity gala in the Times Society section. She's intrigued. Margaret, absolutely not. Alex, she's flying in from the Hamptons specifically to meet her. If you don't bring Sophia, then I don't bring her. Grandmother Eleanor will have to be disappointed. She said if you show up without your girlfriend, she'll assume you're not serious about anyone, and she'll support the board's recommendation about Victoria. Sophia saw Alexander go pale. What board recommendation? The merger proposal. Victoria's family is offering to drop their threat to sell their shares if you agree to a 6-month reconciliation period, which is just code for get back together or lose the company, Alexander said grimly. Pretty much, Margaret admitted. Sophia watched Alexander's face as he realized the trap he was in. This wasn't just about family expectations. It was about his life's work. Alexander, Sophia said quietly, maybe I should meet her. No, I won't drag you into this mess. I'm already in it. And besides, she managed a small smile, I'm curious about the woman who raised someone like you. Sophia, you don't understand. My grandmother is formidable. She'll see through any pretense immediately. Then we don't pretend. We tell her the truth, that we met by chance, that we're getting to know each other, and that we're not making any promises about the future. Alexander looked at her for a long moment. You're serious. I'm serious. Margaret, Alexander said into the phone, set up the meeting, but somewhere public, somewhere Sophia will feel comfortable. Actually, Margaret said hesitantly, she wants to have brunch at the family estate in the Hamptons. Absolutely not. It's not really a request, Alex. It's more of a royal summons. Alexander closed his eyes. Fine, but I'm driving Sophia myself, and we leave when we want to leave.